The Janther Wilds Convergences and Secrets of the Obscure Convergences are so good right now. They're insane gold per hour, both of them. They give you a great amount of essences for your Soto legendary or to transform into gold. They have a chance of giving you a Supreme of holding for your bags or to sell it for like 20 gold? Damn! And you can get 5, by the way. You need to do the Janther Wilds one to get the Relic of Bloodstone, which is needed for a lot of new builds. And if you do the CMs weekly, you can get a magnificent Convergence extraction that is capable of giving you, yes, every infusion in the game that is worth insane amounts of gold. So yeah, they're pretty worth it. But they're also very hard. You not only need a lot of organization and someone who actually knows what they're doing and the new strats that this implies, but also a good build to be able to contribute for this Convergence's damage and healing. So in this video, we're gonna make a tier list of every one of the classes in the game so you can decide on which ones are the best for you to try out and use on these new Convergences. I'll leave a picture in the description so you can check all these elite specs if you just want to skip the video. And we do those Convergences every Monday for Soto and every Tuesday for Janther Wilds on NA. So if you want to join in, join the Discord. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Go to my Twitch to watch me live every morning, and let's get into it. Now let's first talk about what do we want in one of these builds. Well, the first thing, and this is pretty obvious, is gonna be damage. The more damage you do in these Convergences, the better. And they do require a good amount of it to actually get gold and get all of the stuff that you need, all the time you need to get all of the rewards. Now, if you get silver, you will still be getting yourself your Bloodstone Relic and a lot of the rewards, but gold is just, it just gives you so much more. So it's definitely worth to do as much damage as you can so you can make this smooth run and not lose this gold by 1 or 2 seconds. But how do you do damage? Well, there's a lot of factors that will contribute for your build to actually do damage in tier list we're going to talk about. First of all, it being a power build. Why is it important? It's because in Secrets of the Obscure Convergences, you can get the Night Sigil that will make you outgoing damage increase by 3% with an additional 7% at night. And Soto Convergences do indeed happen at night, so this is a huge buff for power. Demon Sigils also are very good as they work on Cryptis and Titans-Spawn, and this works for Secret of the Obscure Convergences and the Janther Wilds one. So power here gets such a good buff from both of these. Relic of the Eagle is absolutely great as well, as because there's intermissions in between phases on Convergences, you can just switch it whenever the boss arrives at 50% health, and you'll get a damage increase of 10% on power. Now, I'm not gonna say that Condi builds are not usable. Things like Condi Reaper or Condi Mechanist are absolutely great in Convergences, and we'll talk about it later as well. But power does have a slight advantage. Well, actually a pretty good one in this Convergences. Picking also a class that only uses one weapon is super good. For example, Engineer, because you can make one of your weapons have a stacking sigil that every time you kill an enemy with that weapon, you get a buff and stacks up to 25, and then you can just switch to the other weapon, right? And use it at full strength while also having the buff from the other weapon. This is absolutely great in classes like Engineer, Elementalist, Thief, and even on Reaper, because at their 50%, you only use one weapon to damage, pressing Gracer 2 over and over again. Another important thing on these Convergences is gonna be survivability. Because if you die, well, you can't do damage, and you lose your stacking sigils if you die as well. These Convergences do a lot of damage, and I do mean an absolute lot, especially on Secrets of the Obscure. So having a class that not only benefits themselves by some barrier, some healing or whatever, but also your allies is absolutely great for you to be able to do the most amount of damage without any issues. You also get in Convergences and CMs these things called essences, these little orbs that you can pick off the floor, and they will give you indeed more damage, more power damage, more condi damage, more concentration. So you want to have them at 50 at all times. Even your workload gets a significant speed boost when you're holding the most amount of stacks. But if you die, you will lose them. And if you lose them, for example, in Secrets of the Obscure Convergences, you're not going to be able to deposit them to Soldier. So you really don't want to die. You want to have as much as them until the last moment before you deposit them to do the most amount of damage to your enemies and also have it as a defensive solution for Soldier having very low health. The problem is that they will make your health decrease per stack. So the more you have this, the less health you have. This is why having a very high health class and also having a lot of defensives is absolutely great. Having a great amount of boons is also important to give a lot of quickness, to give a lot of alacrity, but also other things like protection, so you take less damage, 30% by the way, 33%. Things like stability, so all the mechanics don't really knock you back. Aegis, to ignore certain mechanics from the bosses. Condition cleanse, so whenever you do get hit, you can clean this out. Reflex, because a lot of the mechanics, particularly in Gen 1 CMs, need reflex to be ignored. Barrier, so if you do get hit, you don't get one shot in one go. All these things are super good. Resistance, for Umbril to not immobilize you at all times. All of these things will be very important for me to choose which are the best specs to bring. So let's go on it and see what are the best classes to play. We're gonna go class by class, and the first one, well, we have Necromancer here, so let's start with that. Reaper. Reaper is indeed S, actually S+. That's how good this is. Now you might say, wait, why Reaper? It doesn't even do that much damage compared to other builds in the benchmark. Well, the thing is that Reaper is still 42k, almost 43k DPS, as you can see here. And in open world, this becomes even higher. Because even though your rotation applies upon Spear and Greatsword most of the time, whenever your boss gets to the 50% health threshold, Gravedigger will become essentially cooldown less. So you can just press Gravedigger over and over and over and over and over again against the boss, doing an insane amount of damage. I've seen people doing like 55k DPS, even more, 60 sometimes, with only this button. And you can put your wells on the boss, go into Shroud, press like a few buttons, and then go back to just Gravediggering over and over and over again on the boss. As we talked about before as well, you can get your Sigil of Cruelty on your spears, so whenever you go into this insane mode of damage and you only use your Greatsword, you can get the buff from this Sigil that you had in your spear. And when that moment arrives and you're 50% health on the boss, you can get Relic of the Eagle, making your damage even further. This build is absolutely perfect for Convergences CMs. The only issue is that you need your Sigil of Accuracy, which kind of sucks because you can't get your Sigil of Night and Demon Slaying at the same time, but it's still gonna be worth it. You also have your Shroud that will prevent you from just getting one shot, because you get 8k or 17k if you have full life force of more health. That doesn't get affected by the essences, so it's absolutely awesome. This will get a little bit of make you lose a little bit of damage on power, but if you don't want to deal with that, you can play Condition Reaper that doesn't get that affected by losing Shroud, and you can get a bit more benefit. And honestly, this build is actually pretty good regardless in Convergences, because it's very hybrid, so all the essences not only benefit your power DPS, but also your con DPS, so both of them are pretty good. So yeah, Reaper is very, very good. I heavily recommend it to bring it. Harbinger, sadly, not the same thing. Even though Harbinger does have very similar damage to what Reaper does, the mechanic of the Shroud doesn't work the same way. Instead of giving you more health like Reaper, it actually gives you less health. And in Convergences, when you have your 50 essences, you end up getting like, I don't know, 4k health, which is impossible to play with in a Convergence, because you just get one tap by everything, making you literally incapable of doing anything. Do not bring Harbingers to Convergence CMs, they're useless. Do not do it, do not do it, do not do it, do not do it, do not do it. Now, for the last one, Scourge. And Scourge is indeed S+ as well. And why is this? It's because, well, it has a perfect Celestial build. And what are Celestial builds? Well, Celestial builds like this, they will not only do a lot of damage, but also a lot of healing. And because you're Scourge, you're giving a lot of barrier too. So you can just put your shades on your team, just like this, and do a lot of damage, giving them your allies barrier, being able to cleanse their condies, being able to do CC, while being ranged because you're using Dagger Torch and Pistol Warhorn, being able to give Aegis with your Serpent Siphon, being able to remove projectiles with your Corrosive Poison Cloud, being able to give stability with Trail of Anguish, giving might with Blood is Power. You can do around like, I don't know, 25k, a bit more than this, on Convergences CMs on this, while being essentially what it is, a healer. Now you do have to play it correctly. If you're struggling keeping your team alive, you can definitely go for the whole heal build for this. But even as a heal build, it's still very good because in Convergences things one-shot you. So giving barrier to your allies is way more important than healing them fast. Clean Condis also is very, very good. Scourge indeed must go on S+. It is one of the best builds to bring to Convergences CMs. Particularly as Celestial, you should definitely bring this build. By the way, all these builds are gonna be in Snowcrows. They have them. Don't worry about them. Just go check them out. Now, speaking of Celestial builds, there's another one that is very similar to Scourge, and that is indeed Spectre. I personally like, right now, Spectre more than Scourge. This build does everything that Scourge does, but a little bit differently. You give essentially permanent stability, which you can only do on Scourge with Staff, which you don't bring on the Celestial build. I guess you could, but you bring an insane amount of resistance, which is great for something like Umbriel. You give protection, you give might, and all of your wells teleport you around, which is very nice to have in Guild Wars 2, especially in Convergences when you need mobility sometimes. Your Shroud also gives Alacrity, just like Scourge, but it also gives Barrier and Aegis on 5. The Aegis is a bit annoying to get into. I think Scourge actually surpasses Spectre on this because you have to go into Shroud. What if you just use Shroud and you need Aegis? It's a little bit annoying to do, but it's still doable, and Aegis is not as important, I think, in Convergences as Stability, Condi Cleanse is. The only important, and you really want to do this correctly, is putting Aegis when the Eye from Hellsister appears. That one, you want people ignoring that mechanic and not having to look away, because it's kind of bugged. So yeah, you see the Eye, you put Aegis, yes? But yeah, the amount of damage, I've been able to do like 28k DPS on this build on Convergences CMs. And the cool thing is that you can actually put the Stacking Sigil on your second weapon set. You can't really do that in Scourge. And get Corruption Sigil and do insane amount of damage. Or Sigil of the Stars, as I guess you could also bring. But yeah, it's absolutely insane. I'm gonna put it above Scourge because I like it more, but hey, both are very good. Daredevil, also pretty okay, kind of squishy, but I've seen Daredevils, because of their bursts, doing insane amount of damage, like 60 plus k DPS on Convergences CM. So the potential is absolutely there, and stuff is not that complicated. Well, it shouldn't be. You only press 2, but it ends up being a little more complicated by the way that this works. But if you really want to try this, it's definitely worth it. And if you're really tired of going down, if you feel like you're just permanently dying on this build, you can just bring Invigorating Precision to make you heal every time you do damage. So it's not the worst thing. Next is Deadeye, and Deadeye I have to put it in S+, because he has the pistol Deadeye build that you can bring for quickness or for main DPS. And the thing about this is that you only have to press one button. This build is so good, and you can again bring Invigorating Precision to just heal yourself. You also have your Signal of Malice that heals when you attack. Super nice. And you can put on your second weapon your Sigil of Cruelty, just like you would do it in the staff one, honestly, in the Daredevil one, to get the stacks on the second weapon and then go back to Pistol and do absolute great damage with Sigil of Night and Sigil of Demon Slaying. Easy build, super great, and I heavily recommend you to try this if you're really struggling trying to do damage on Convergences. You will do great amounts of damage if you just press 3 over and over again. Remember though, if you auto-attack this, you'll do less damage than pressing 3 over and over. So yeah, S+. Now let's go for Guardian. And I want to go for Guardian because I want to talk about this other Celestial build that exists, and that is Celestial Firebrand. Now, Celestial Firebrand is pretty good, but it's not good as a Scourge as Spectre because you don't give barrier to allies, which is very important for Convergences CMs. Now, if you are indeed gonna bring a Celestial build instead of a healer, Firebrand is completely fine because you are indeed a Guardian. The amount of utility that you have is great. Tome of Resolve to clean Condis, Palm of Courage to give protection, stability, Aegis, all this stuff. New Tone of Justice to some damage. Give quickness to your allies and change some utility if you want to. You can be Sanctuary to for great CC, which is super good. Wall of Reflection to reflect. Stand your ground to give stability. Advance to give Aegis twice, guys. That's super good. The truth is that Fireband skit is so powerful and so great that even though you cannot bring barrier on this, it's kind of worth it anyways. So yeah, as for this, you can also bring the DPS build. I would not recommend the quickness DPS build, but the DPS build is gonna be fine. It's gonna be Condi, so it's not gonna be as good as some other builds, but just for the Celestial one, we'll put it on S right here. Dragonhunter S+. This one is so great. Not only you have an insane damage profile and an insane burst profile on this build, you also get a lot of utility, and it's pretty easy to play. All the utility that you would usually have in Guardian, you can bring it. And you have your F3 that gives Aegis, protection, and stability. It shields you from everything around you, and you can bring Indomitable Courage if you're going for Virtues to Stun Break and give this ability to your nearby allies. You can absolutely carry your team as a DPS while bringing all of this utility. I will heavily recommend you not bringing Sword of Justice and replace it in it for some utility, but you can bring it if you want. And the build is also pretty simple. You just kind of press all the buttons, right? And you know, that's kind of what it is, right? As long as you have your F1 of cooldown before you put all your traps and your damage, you will be fine. You can definitely go check the rotation, but it's a pretty simple build. You have two versions, the Virtuous one, and you have the non-Virtuous one. The non-Virtuous one is easier to play, but it uses Longbow, which is super annoying to me, so I kind of want for the Virtuous one. So pick your poison. And if you think that this is too hard, you can bring the Mazel build with Hammer Dragonhunter. Does 37k DPS, and it's only auto attack. So yeah, go use this if you want to. Essentially Pistol Deadeye, but with a few more extra steps. And you can bring all the utility as well. It's insane. So yeah, honestly, Dragonhunter, I'm gonna put it... honestly, not above the Celestial ones. The Celestial ones are very good, but above Deadeye, because I think the potential of it is higher. And the utility as well. Willbender is fine. Same thing as Dragonhunter. Great burst, great damage, great utility as well, but it doesn't shine as much as the Celestial Firebrand build does, and it doesn't shine as much as the Dragonhunter build does. You can definitely bring power Willbender. It has a lot of hybrid damage, which you heavily benefit from Convergences CMs, but yeah, just put it on S. Great stuff, but nothing to be like, oh my god, it needs to be an S+. It's just great damage. And Condi Willbender, wouldn't really recommend it. Next, let's go for Warrior. And Warrior gets a bit more complicated. Berserker is pretty okay. I think it's A. You have essentially great stability if you bring with the Hammer build, which is the main one that you bring right now in Berserker. You can give some quickness, but realistically, it doesn't have a lot of utility. It doesn't have a lot of defensives. You don't want to really bring heal quickness Berserker compared to the Celestial builds that you have right here. It's fine. I just don't really see why you would bring this compared to anything here above. But it's not bad. It does great damage. So there you go. Bladesworn, same thing. Bladesworn can be absolutely great though. It does have a little bit of an advantage compared to Berserker. The burst that he has, especially in Convergences, can be so useful because doing like 80k DPS in 1 second when the burst windows are there all the time in Convergences CMs are very good. But it's also kind of annoying to play. It doesn't have any utility. Alacrity is not really that something you should be bringing on this. It's not the worst thing ever, and I do think it's more potential than Berserker, but it really depends on how good you are at the game. If you like Berserker better, if you have this build and you're very good at it, bring that. If this is the case for Bladesworn, do that instead. They're both they're okay things to bring. Now Spellbreaker though, this one is S. The Power Spellbreaker Hammer Dagger Mace gets all of the benefits that you get from Berserker, but, well, you have more defenses. You have full counter that essentially makes you prevent any sort of damage coming to you, give you stability as well, and you have an insane amount of CC with Hammer, Pulse Charge, Winds of Disenchantment, your Dagger, and Mace. You also don't have the issues of Adrenaline that you would usually have on something like Berserker. So yeah, I think S is a good place to put it. Now, is it like super high on S? No, it's probably gonna be the bottom, but I do think it's better than Bladesworn and Berserker. Now let's go for something like Mesmer. Virtuoso, I think is S as well. It does a good amount of damage. It's not as good as it used to be, but the fact that you are Mesmer and you're bringing Distortion, you can do a lot of damage. You can bring Power or Condi, even though Power is way better right now. And you're a little bit squishy. If you play this well, you can definitely do great amount of damage. You just kind of have to use your Distortion in the correct moment so you don't die. But the potential is very, very good. Your range, it's Mesmer. It's good. You have so much utility as well on Mesmer, so just by default, you have to bring this up like a heavy amount. Necromancer, also S. I think at the top of S, honestly. The amount of boons that you can bring as a healer on Convergences CM with this is absolutely insane. The amount of utility it has, as well as, you know, usually would have on Mesmer. As a power DPS, I'm not sure if I would bring it that much, but Chrono is pretty powerful. The only sad thing about this, and the reason why it's not an S+, is because it doesn't have a Celestial build. If it has a Celestial build, I think this would be like, oh my god, the best thing ever. But it doesn't, so I think S is the maximum we can put it, but it's very, very good. I'm not even gonna be mad about having a heal Chrono in my subgroup, even if I would rather have a Celestial build. I'll be happy with this too. And you can change between Alacrity and Quickness with one trait. It's great. Sadly, I can't say the same thing about Mirage. Mirage is indeed D. Yes, it does have the highest benchmark in the entire game right now, but pulling this off, especially in an open world boss, is insanely difficult. If you can do it, be my guest, bring this, but otherwise, and most likely for you, this is not gonna be the case. The utility it has is also not great. The fact that it's very hard for you to actually put utility with all the other things that you have to do during this mechanics, it's very annoying. You will probably not survive in a Convergences CMs with this. I think definitely a very good Mirage can do this, can use Distortion in the correct moments, can use the dodges not only to do damage, but also to be invulnerable to the mechanics. But I heavily recommend it. Wait, recommend against it. That's what I want to say. And I know the Mirage people are gonna get mad at me, but it is the truth. And let's go for another one that people will make, you know, will be mad at me. Holesmith. Holesmith, guys, sadly, is gonna be C. And don't get me wrong, guys, Holesmith can do a lot of damage. It absolutely can. And it's a great build to play. It has a lot of versatility to it. But sadly, it just has nothing special going on for Convergences. Why would you ever bring Holesmith and have to deal with heat? Have to deal with not having as much defenses as other classes when you just don't even bring that much damage to justify it? There's no reason to. Also, all the utility you have is mostly for yourself and not for your allies, and open world metas are a teamwork game mode, so no, it's not worth it. Look at this, it does 44k DPS, and look at Scrapper, guys. It's easy to play and it does more damage than this. Are you kidding me? It has to go to C. It's just, why would you bring this? And this is where we go for the God Emperor, Scrapper. And honestly, guys, Scrapper deserves a new tier. It's above everything in the entire tier list. It's God. Actually, it is the God spec. There is literally nothing better. It's a super easy build. It does an insane amount of damage, and arguably the biggest burst in the game. Probably Solbis does a bit better burst, but still insane. You give barrier to your allies and yourself. You can even trade on it to give even more barrier. You can give super speed. You're immortal, and you're making your allies immortal. You can even go for a little bit more defenses, bringing Bulwark Gyro to give more stability give more barrier to your allies. Some stability as well. Realistically, there is literally nothing better. Like, if you're bringing a DPS or a quickness DPS, because he can also bring quickness on this, just pick Scrapper. Just don't bring anything else. Everything else is irrelevant. And you get the stacking sigil buff from only using one weapon, because Engineer only uses one weapon. Are you kidding me? This is perfect. And yes, the Bloodstone Relic build does use 2 kits, which is kind of annoying. But if you don't want to play that and don't want to learn this, you can just go for Relic of the Claw instead, and just bring this utility instead as well. With Throw Mine, where's Throw Mine? Oh, there we go. And every time you see something, which is most of the time because of how this build works, you can just spam all these buttons off cooldown, give the full uptime of Relic of the Claw, and do insane amount of damage. The only things you're not gonna want to press is 3 and 4, and you're good. Just press all the buttons. That's the build. So yeah, Scrapper is the God spec for Convergences. Honestly, in open world, as well. Well, you know, you'll check that out whenever we talk about the open world meta tier list. But yeah, nothing better than that. Mechanist, pretty good as well though. Super easy to play. You have the Condi build, you have the power build, both pretty good. You can give alacrity as well. It's less good than Scrapper, of course. And no, you know what? I'm gonna put an S plus on Convergences because yeah, it's so easy. It's just one of those builds that you can just bring, press all the buttons off cooldown, not care about anything on Condi, on power, and you'll do a lot of damage. Even Condi has a good amount of hyper damage on this build. You can go full sickness as well and not deal with any kits, and you'll do great. So I don't think it's as good as, you know, Dragonhunter or whatever, but it's just a great thing to bring. Speaking of another insane build, Herald. Herald will always be super good, guys. Bring in quickness and do not bring DPS Herald. DPS Herald is not worth it. This is quickness. That's it. Nothing else, okay? But you essentially bring every boon in the game. You can go for Jealous, which you probably should, to give stability to your allies. You can use the Elite on Jealous to give a damage reduction to your allies as well. It's absolutely great. It's super easy to play as well. Like, it's not complicated at all. And that's one of the biggest reasons why it's here so high, because it's technically one of the, actually, the lowest DPS in the entire game as a power build. But it doesn't matter, because every time that you're in a Convergence CM, you're gonna see that the power quickness heralds are gonna be doing top DPS, even though they're quickness, because it's so easy to play. It gives great boons, it gives great support for your allies, and somehow, because it's so easy, you can see them all the time at the top. Sometimes it's not about the benchmark, it's about how people can achieve the benchmark. And realistically, most people won't be able to do it. But with Herald, you definitely will. So just bring it if you're scared of not being able to do enough damage. Vindicator, I'm gonna put it on an A. Vindicator is actually not that bad. Actually, you know what? Let's put it on S. I don't think it's even that bad. Mainly because you have a lot of damage with your Greatsword, which is a huge AoE. Right? You have your Eternity's Requiem. You press this button, you go into Shiro, you press your Impossible Odds, and all these hits hit twice. Kind of. And this means that because you're in a huge hitbox with huge bosses, all these little things, they explode on the boss, giving you an insane amount of damage. The benchmark is actually not the best one. I think it's like 44k or something compared to other things that we've seen before here, but it does do a lot of damage. I think I'm gonna put it actually above here. I'm kind of a sleeper on Vindicator. I personally don't like it as much, but I do have to recognize that I was a little bit wrong. I was saying it was, you know, not good enough. I think it's pretty good. It doesn't have as much defensives as other things that we have here on S+, so that's why I'm not gonna put it here. And it's definitely still a little bit complicated, so, but I think if you can play this well, you can definitely do insane amount of damage in something like Convergences CMs. Renegade though, can't really say the same thing. Renegade, I don't really know why you would bring it. Condi is not really that useful in Convergences CMs. The power build is kind of meme, and it doesn't really give you anything that you should be bringing. Like, I don't really see the point in bringing this. I really don't. So you just kind of, I mean, no, just don't bring it. Just bring something else. Just like, I don't know, bring something else. and don't even ask me about heal Alacrity Renegade. Just don't even. Maybe someone can cook a Celestial build for this, and maybe I'll reconsider, but I'll put it, you know, if someone shows me a good Celestial Renegade build that actually works for Convergences CMs, I'll make a public apology in the comments down below, okay? And speaking of not the best things, let's talk about Catalyst. Catalyst is also not very good. And I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say, but Terrence, it gives so many boons, especially on quickness. Yeah, but it's squishy as fuck, right? It's just gonna die in Convergences CMs. It doesn't really have any way of surviving. It doesn't even give that many boons either way. Like other builds just bring better. The heal build is also not gonna be great. And let's be real, guys. The fact that you boons that you apply are this little thingy, I guess it's kind of big. You know, maybe I kind of underestimated how big it was. I guess it's actually pretty big. All right, but sadly, it's just gonna die. Okay, it's just gonna die in reality in Convergences CMs. Even though it can bring a good amount of boons, even though it does an insane amount of damage, even as quickness on Convergences CMs, it's just not gonna be enough, guys. It's just not gonna. And it doesn't have the utility to be able to survive either. You're not gonna be able to just permanently fortify Earth to give enough barrier to survive. You're not gonna be able to have Aegis on the correct moment every time on Earth. It's just not gonna happen. Same thing goes for something like Weaver. Sadly, Weaver, and I really done my best to bring Weaver to Convergences CMs. The potential of Weaver is so good, but it just explodes. It just explodes. Even with the passive barrier that it gets, it's just not enough to survive in TMs. It's just not. It doesn't have the utility. Even when I tried to put a lot of utility here to survive, it wasn't enough. It's not. So I'm gonna have to put on D. Maybe one day, maybe one day. And I would really like it because I think Weaver, because of the hybridness of the spec, it has the potential of being one of the top DPSers on something like Convergence. And if you can, really blast and you're a Weaver expert and you think that you can survive all the attacks from the Convergences, definitely try it, but I don't see it. That being said, Tempest, oh my! Tempest is different. Tempest, I think I'll put it on A. Tempest can survive. It's gonna be very hard. You're gonna have to be very fast, giving yourself Aegis with Aftershock, giving yourself stability with Eye of the Storm, but it has the potential of it. Now, I'm not gonna say that it's like perfect. We only have one spec left, and you're gonna notice that I changed outfits, and that's because I got a 6-hour power cut. I knew it was gonna happen. I just had one class left, and it cut. It's over. That's why I was in my pajamas. I got up and I started recording. It was not enough. But look, you got lucky. You were able to see Darren's pajamas. You know how many dog dates, awkward dates you have to spend with me to be able to see that? You got lucky. You're welcome. Alright, let's finish the video. Alright, so Ranger. Ranger is an interesting one. Because it doesn't have the best for leads for Convergences CMs. I don't really think Druid. Druid is okay. I think it's a very good healer, right? That's the reality. Just like Necromancer, honestly, if you want to bring a healer, Necromancer and Druid, great stuff. You really give a lot of boons, you get a lot of healing, you're supporting your allies. You don't do a lot of damage, unlike Scourge, unlike Spectre, and honestly, unlike Firebrand. And why did I put Firebrand so low? Firebrand, because of the Celestial build, should be higher than these two healers. I will always have healers up because I think they're needed most of the time. Sure, you can bring Celestial builds, but if not, you do need them. And healers are so important for Convergences CMs, so you don't die, so you get protected from your enemies, from your bosses. So I think it's important to put it high up because they are very important. But I think Chrono's better, and I think Celestial Firebrand, with the beautiful utility it has, and of course the beautiful damage it gives with Celestial, is better. But Druid is absolutely great, so definitely on S. Next is gonna be Soul Beast, and Soul Beast is a great DPS. It truly is. It's so powerful. It does such good damage, and it gives an insane amount of burst. I would not recommend you bringing Condition Soul Beast. If you can play it, it's actually not the worst thing, because it has a very high hybrid damage profile, and this in Convergences with all the buffs that you get is actually pretty nice. And the cool thing is that you get Leader of the Pack, this trait right here, which makes you be able to share your stances to your allies, like Dolek's stance that prevents them from taking damage. And that's super nice because, of course, in Convergences CMs, you are taking a lot of damage. In giving that buff to your allies, chef's kiss, absolutely great. The problem is that it is a very difficult build to play compared to something like Power Soul Beast, which is indeed power, so you have better burst, which is absolutely great. You can bring Relic of Eagle at 50% of the health of the boss. You get the bonuses from Sigil of Night, from Sigil of Demon Slaying, but you don't pick Leader of the Pack. You can do it, but you'll lose a good amount of damage. It is definitely worth taking if you really want to help your allies, but there you go. So very good. Pick whatever version you want best for yourself, but yeah, it's good. I will, though, recommend that you bring some sort of defensive, like Dolek stance, at the least for yourself, even if you're not bringing Leader of the Pack, because you don't want to get absolutely destroyed by your Convergences boss. Sadly, I can't really put it on S+. It doesn't have the utility for it. That being said, Untamed, I think it is S+. The Servant? You can, yeah, it deserves it. It has a better benchmark, less burst, but then again, even though burst is very good, in Convergences CMs is not as important as some other places. You can bring a quickness build on this, and you pick Forest Fortification, which gives you a damage reduction, huge for yourself, and essentially permanent stability. And every time you actually do damage with your abilities, this reduces the cooldown of this ability, so you can just boom, 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 have this over and over and over again. It's super good. You do a lot of damage. It's a pretty easy build. I really, really like it. It's kind of hard for... You know what? I think a little bit bad putting Soul Beast here on an S and this not on S+, honestly, because they're very similar. They do very similar things. This one gives quickness, but this one can bring stability and damage to your allies. So, they really can be... They can be in any other place. Like, it really depends on what you like the best. Pick your poison on this ones, and I do think they do so much damage that they deserve a spot here on S+. And there you go. Those are the new elite specs, and everywhere, I mean, not the new elite specs, that the elite specs and where you would use them in Convergences CMs. That being said, let's talk a little bit about the new ones, because yeah, they will probably change, but if we were to put them somewhere, just for fun, where would I put them? Probably I would put, again, guys, and I know you're gonna hate me for this, I would probably put Luminary very high up. I think the amount of defense that it has and that it gives to your allies will put it on S+ in terms of power. Good damage, good... Actually, you know what? I think I'll probably put it above... I don't know the profile on Luminary. I don't know if it's very bursty, but I think it will give the same amount of defensives and offense as Dragonhunter. The difference is that you can actually give damage reduction to your allies with Luminary, which is super good in Convergences CMs. So I think it deserves to be S+. Ritualist, probably just an A. It's probably just fine. The weapon spells are very useful, and the lifesteal is pretty useful, so maybe I would put it on an S. The damage is right now pretty low, but I'm sure that would get balanced. And because of this reason, I think it would, if the damage ends up being okay, I think you probably would leave it on S. You know, particularly because it can give a lot of stability, even as a DPS. On this build, so yeah, I think S would be okay. Where here, it would depend on the damage that it does, I think, but probably around here, I think. Yeah, like, I don't know, somewhere along these lines. We'll have to see and check how it actually plays and how it survives in a Convergences CM, but yeah. Troubadour, S+, absolutely. It has all the benefits from Necromancer and Virtuoso, while also having an insane amount of attributes. Put this here, we're not looking at the... There you go. Yeah, you get a lot of attributes, so you get way more tanky, while also having all the damage and benefits from Virtuoso, while also giving all the boons from Necromancer. Troubadour truly is the Virtuoso Necromancer of, of Mesmer. It's crazy, so I think it will be absolutely great in Convergences CMs. Evoker, probably just A. It's very hard, maybe even less. It's probably very hard to survive on Evoker on a Convergences CM. It doesn't really have a lot of attributes to it, so yeah, I just don't really... I really doubt it's gonna be good. Antiquary, same thing. Even though I really love Antiquary, I don't see it surviving in Convergences CMs or bringing something to the table that will help. So I can't really say anything. Gale Shot probably on S. I could see it doing a lot of damage. It's ranged, so you can survive a bit better and do mechanics in an easier way. But it doesn't really give any boons. Maybe I would end up even be on A or even less than this, honestly, because of the little damage that the little boons that it gives, and you need to survive. So we'll have to see, but yeah, that's probably my prediction. Amalgam, I would probably put it on S+. It has so much survivability. It can share all these buffs to your allies if you want. It has lifesteal. It has great damage. It has great utility that you can tailor to whatever happens in these Convergences. I think this will be the correct place to put it. Paragon, unless we get a Celestial Paragon, I probably would put it on B. If a Celestial Paragon actually exists, that it does comedy damage at the same time as healing, I could see it actually being S+. We would have to see how the boons would work, but oh, maybe. But for now, I think just B would be the place to put it. And Conduit, you know what? Conduit could actually be pretty high up, depending on the damage. It can actually, if Power Conduit can be very good, because of the attributes that it enhances, it could be very, very tanky. And a Celestial Conduit could also be very interesting. Not really because it wouldn't be able to heal, but I don't know. I'm gonna put it on A for now. I feel like there could be maybe something there. Probably not, but I'm interested. And there you go, those will be my predictions. Hopefully guys, you enjoyed this video. I will be doing, of course, Convergences CMs every Monday for Soto and every Tuesday for Janther Wilds. So definitely come in and use these builds that we talked about today so we can absolutely blast them. And yeah, there you go. That's all I have for you today, guys. So subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi, like everybody here. M and T's, Soydalian, Maragon, Terrorboy Z, Meco, Tilt, Seawix, Minimarch, Butterball, Question Mark, Say, Memskittle, Lakota, Cleveland Land, Dang It, Main Bowen, J Mongoose, Snapster, and Kiba. Go to my Twitch to watch my live every morning. I think I said that already. I might have drunk a beer because I didn't have any power in the entire day. Might have happened. See you guys around. Love you all. Ciao, ciao.